Pilates, please.
Hello, I'm Dr. Vernette, and thank you for tuning in. I want to welcome you to Pilates. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of your flexibility. Tension in the muscles affects circulation, which can prevent nutrients and oxygen from properly moving throughout your body. When the muscles are more relaxed, they're more flexible, and they create an improved circulatory system. Stretching also encourages circulation by helping blood move from the muscles and the joints throughout the body. For today, all you need is a bottle of water, your mat, and a towel. So let's get started. We're going to start a little different today in a standing position. Arms are going to raise up over your head, and you're going to wrap your hand around the opposite wrist and reach over, giving your torso a nice stretch on the opposite side in which you're leaning to. Reach your hand over the other wrist and reach over. And we'll do that again. Come back to center. Now make sure that you're standing up nice and tall. We switch hands and we go back to the first side in which we started. And then switch hands and round over. And we'll go one more time. Switching over to the other side and reaching over, breathing through the exercise and the movement that we're working through today. As we come back to our nice standing position, I want your arms to round over as your back curls down, all the way towards your toes, holding there and rolling back up. Now arms stay in line with your ears if possible. If not, then they can just stay relaxed all the way down next to your hips. But for now, let's keep them next to our ears and we'll hold here. Open your legs a little bit wider than shoulder hip difference. And you're going to rotate your torso and wrap around the right side of your ankle. Give your ankle a little hug there and release. And you're going to twist over to the opposite side. Now this gives the back of your leg a nice stretch as you start to warm up your body. The back parts of our legs get really, really tight, especially if we're on a workout system or even if we're just going through our daily life. So we're going to stop in the center. We're going to roll all the way up. And again, we'll start from the top. Wrap your wrist and reach over to the side. Now you're reaching in opposition here. So be mindful to make sure that the energy is coming through your fingertips on the right side in opposition of the left side. Okay, so as we reach, make sure we're reaching all the way over. Coming back to center first before reaching over to the other side. Getting a nice stretch in our muscle tissue. And coming back to center and again reaching over to the opposite side, deepening the stretch each time we go through the movement. And switching over. And coming up nice and tall, rolling down again. And we'll go at a little bit faster pace, right? Rotate over to the right side and hug the ankle. Deepen through that stretch. Back stays nice and elongated. And rotating to the other side, giving your left leg a nice hug. Coming back to the center. And one more time over to the right side. Take your time and coming over to the left side. Now from here, we're going to hold in the center and just bend your knees, round your back. Hold there, round through your torso, and straighten your legs. And we round again. If your palms can come flat on the mat, that's fine too. And straightening our legs. And we'll go for two more, bending our knees, deepening our hip complex, and straightening the legs. And one more time, bending at your knees and your hips, and coming straight up. Now from here, we're going to roll all the way up, scoop your abs up and in, arms come up alongside your head, and arms come down. Now, we'll transition down to the mat, so just follow me as we have a seat facing forward on our mat, okay? So, we'll start with our feet together. Knees are bent out. And you're just gonna sit back. Actually, let's do this first. Let's cross our legs, okay? Sitting up nice and tall on our sits bones, or right on top of our glutes. Making sure that we're sitting up nice and tall and lengthening out through our spine. And we'll do an extra stretch here. So place your right hand over, left hand reaches over to the right side, bending the elbow down to the mat, keeping your shoulders squared as you reach long to come up, and then we switch over to the other side. Getting a nice deep stretch in here too. Now remember, we're creating this opposition, okay? So as we go again, we're making sure that we're reaching long with our fingertips, but also keeping our hips flat on the mat so that we're not lifting off of the mat here, okay? So continuing that opposition, keeping our shoulders open and squared, and we reach over to the other side. Now, as we work through this movement, keep in mind to keep your abs scooped up in, off of your hips, and funneling our ribs as we talked about in the previous episodes, okay? Powerhouse stays activated even though we're working through our muscle tissue and focusing on stretching today. Want to make sure that our powerhouse still stays activated and coming back up. And we're going to add to this exercise. So we're reaching, we're going to round over, bringing the other arm around, and we open up to the other side and coming up. And reverse. Reaching over, rounding through our back. And we find ourselves to the other side. Last time, reaching over. Now take your time. If I'm going a little too fast for you, that's fine. You want to honor the body that you're working with. And coming up. And last time, reaching over. And rounding through your back. Reaching long before you come up. Now, from here, I'm going to scoot back just a little bit. I'm going to walk my hands forward, okay? Getting a nice stretch in my hips as well as my glutes. Now, if we need to come up and start a little bit closer into our center line, that's fine too. If you can walk your hands all the way down to the floor, that's fine as well. So we can bend our elbows on the carpet or on the mat. And take a deep breath in here. Inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. And take one more breath in and exhale out. Now walking your hands back up. Now we can place our feet together, okay? So you'll see the reason why I started with the cross position is because some people don't have the flexibility to come to this position first, so they need a modification. So crossing the legs shortens the distance that we have to lengthen in our hips, right? So we bring our feet together. Knees are out, sitting up nice on our sits bones. And what we'll do is we'll walk our hands forward into a rounded position, and you'll feel a nice stretch in the inside of your legs, okay? So rounding over, breathing through this stretch, walking your hands back up and sitting up nice and tall. Scooping your abs off with your hips. Remember, we're keeping our powerhouse activated even though we're working our muscles and stretching our muscles today. And walking your hands back up. Now, as we start to bring our legs forward, we'll do it in segments. So, second part is we'll extend our legs just a little bit more and walk your hands forward. Rounding out our back as we sit up nice and tall. Extending legs a little bit more. Walking your hands forward. And coming back up. Sitting up nice and tall. And we'll do a full extension of our legs and walk your hands forward. And coming back up. Rolling up through your back, sitting up nice and tall. And again, we'll round down and walking it forward towards our ankles. Rounding through your back, making sure that you're working through each vertebrae. So now I'm going to go ahead and face towards the mat. And our legs are already extended from here. We're going to do spine stretch forward. So some of the exercises that we'll do today, they're traditional Pilates movements. But then also some of the stretches that we'll do today are just basic stretches we should do on a daily basis, okay? So we're going to sit up nice and tall on our sits bones. Arms are reaching straight ahead. I'm going to round and tuck through my chest, tuck my chin into my chest, round through my back, and reach forward. My arms stay the length and height of my shoulders, and I round back up and rounding over and reach towards the toes and rolling up through my back and rounding down and reach and coming back up, and I round down, reaching nice and coming back up. Now I'm going to add to that stretch, opening my legs a little bit wider than the mat here. Arms come out to a T position for saw. So this is a great breathing exercise that we do. You're going to twist, inhale, and exhale. You're going to reach 1, reach 2, reach 3 times, and coming back up to a seated position. And I twist to the other side and exhale 1, 2, and 3. Rolling up back to center, sitting up nice and tall. Inhale, exhale, roll down 2 and 3. Coming back up and twist and roll down through each vertebrae as I'm reaching deeper into that stretch. And we'll do one more time and twist, rounding down, reach 2 and 3, and coming up and twisting, reach 2 and 3, coming back up. Bring my legs together and I hug my knees nice and tight. I'm going to shift my weight forward so that way we can roll down to our back, bringing our knees into our chest. Hug your knees super tight. Now this helps to relax our back, and we'll get ready to work through our spine and massaging our spine, okay? So press your knees into your chest. Breathing through this stretch, and you're just going to take yourself side to side. A little bit of a rocking motion here, okay? So it's a nice spine massage, allowing your body and your back to warm up. So doing flexibility training or stretching can actually be done during any time. So if you're looking at getting ready for bed, so you're unwinding or starting your day and trying to get your muscles awake to start your day, it's really a great opportunity during any time of your day or your routine to get some flexibility training in, okay? So let's go ahead and straighten one leg in, and we'll keep one knee bent in towards the chest. Now I'm going to take my outside hand and I'm going to hold on to my knee as I press my leg open. So this helps to increase our flexibility in our hip joint, and if your leg that's straight alongside the mat causes you any pain, you can bend your knee slightly, okay? So we'll keep it here just for those who need the modification. So bring your knee out and then bring it back to neutral. I take my opposite hand and I cross over my torso, okay? So my hip does come off the mat just a little bit, but be careful not to over rotate because that can cause some damage to our spine. So coming back to center, we'll do that one more time. Opening up the hip and breathing through this stretch. And coming back to center. Taking the opposite hand and reaching over. And coming back to center. Bring both legs into the chest and we switch legs. Outside hand opens up my hip and my knee. Taking your time through the stretch and switching arms. Reaching the knee across the opposite arm, or rather opposite shoulder. And just take your time through this stretch. Again, if your hip flexors are too tight, it becomes too uncomfortable, you can keep your knee bent. If not, you can straighten it all the way out to get a deeper stretch into your hips. And crossing over to the other side. And come back to neutral. bring both knees back into the chest. Now, this is one of my favorite exercises. I give them a lot to my clients that have sciatic problems or discomfort in their glute area. So what we do is we cross one leg over. It kind of makes a 4 position, right? So we bring the leg over, and for some people, this is enough of a stretch. Even pressing down into my knee here can give you an added stretch right here in our hip flexors, okay? Now, if you're ready and it doesn't feel too uncomfortable for you, you can bring the opposite knee into the chest, right? So immediately I feel a nice stretch alongside my glute and the back part of my thigh. If you want an even more added stretch than that, you can interlace your hands here and then bring the knee a little bit closer. And from there, I use my elbow and I press out the knee that's working on the side of the hip that's being stretched. So I press the opposite knee into my chest. And I just work through that. Grow deeper into the stretch. Take a deep breath in. Exhale through your mouth. And release the stretch here. And I switch legs. So starting again, foot is flat, opening up the side of the leg that's working, pressing down on the knee just a little bit. So from there, again, some of you all will feel a stretch right here, right? And that's fine. If you want to deepen that stretch here, you can lift the leg up into a 90 degree, okay? And then even more than that, interlace the fingers and bring that knee into the torso here. And this is really an amazing stretch that you can do at any time of the day. So you don't have to do any pre-warm-ups or anything like that. If you're having some hip pain or some glute pain right in that area, you can go right to this stretch and just kind of deepen through the stretch each time, okay? Release your knees and we'll switch over to the other side again. Pressing down first and then bringing the knee up and then bringing it into the chest. So I'm going a little bit deeper into the stretch here. And then I switch my legs, pressing into the side that we're working on, making sure that your hips do stay squared throughout the movement pattern. Then also my powerhouse is still engaged, as we talked about in the beginning of our segment. And then I'll round through here as well, just to get an equalized stretch on the opposite side. Okay, bring both knees together and just hug your knees nice and tight. Now from there, I'm going to release my left leg and just bring my right leg straight up here, okay? So for me as a dancer, or as a previous dancer, in ballet, we did a lot of leg stretches, right? Leg lifts and things of that sort. And so over time, the back of my legs get really, really tight. So I really enjoy this stretch here with just bringing my knee closer to my center line and then releasing down. Okay, so my toe is neutral. I don't really take a Pilates point for this one just because some people get cramping in their toes as well. So really the idea behind the straight leg stretch is just making sure the leg stays stretched throughout the movement pattern rather than flexing or bending and shortening the muscle tissue. So if you're unable to hold your leg here, that's fine. We can grab a towel, or you can grab a resistance band if you have one, place it around your leg and work through that stretch. But if not, add to the leg lengthening process by repeating it just a few times, releasing that stretch, and then we'll go one more time. And then lengthening that out. Bring the knee back in and we'll go for the left leg. Stretching it up. Again, my foot stays neutral. And then I keep my leg nice and long as I bring it towards my center line. And we'll go for one more time. And bring both knees into the chest. So what we'll do next is we'll lie all the way down, stretching our arms over our head here. Now, the opposition that we were talking about in the beginning of the segment, we're just doing it in a lying position, right? So my fingertips are reaching away from my center line. My toes are reaching away from my center line. So I have this beautiful opposition that's active, right? And growing deeper into the stretch that we have here. Good. I'm going to circle my arms around, bend my knees, and roll up to a seated position. And I'm going to come over this side. Okay? So you're on your hands and your knees for the next stretch. Now, making sure that your wrists stay in line with your elbow, that stays in line with your shoulder. Okay? On both sides. And then for your lower body, making sure that your ankle stays in line with your knee, that stays in line with your hip. My back is nice and flat. I tell my clients that I should be able to have dinner on their back to make sure the back stays nice and neutral. Now through here, we're going to work through the rounded C-curve position. So I'm going to lift my belly button all the way up to my spine, rounding my back into the C-curve. And then I gently massage out of that, and I create an opposing movement, pressing my back downward towards the mat, and then reverse and have a nice C-curve. It's important to work through your spine and its alignment to make sure that we stay nice and limber. And coming out of that stretch and rolling. And one more time. Deepening into our C-curve and rounding in opposition. Okay, so we're back to neutral, and from here we'll stay with the theme of stretching. So sit back to your hips in rest position. Tuck your chin into your chest, arms reach forward, and just hold that position there. Now for some people, if it causes you a little bit of discomfort to sit back onto your knees, you can place a pillow under your knees, or you can just skip this stretch, right? So if we're back into our rest position, we're going to roll up through our back, and from here, sitting up or standing up on our knees, right? Lifted up on our knees would be better. Now from here, this is a really good stretch to stretch the front part of your legs, which are your quadriceps, right? The 4 muscle groups that are in the front of your legs. In addition to that, it stretches your hip flexors. So a lot of times we use our hip flexors to sit and stand and climb, but what are we doing to oppose that muscle pattern, right? To stretch out that muscle pattern. Many of us don't necessarily pay attention to stretching out that area, so we'll do that just now, okay? So what you can do is start in a seated position, although we are going to lift up. One hand goes onto the mat, the other hand reaches up towards the ceiling, and from there, it's almost like a hip thrust, but you're stretching into your hip, okay? So right now, you should feel a nice long stretch alongside the front of your leg, and then coming back down. And I round myself over, and I'm on the other side. And I press my hips up towards the ceiling, and coming back down. Rounding forward into the other movement and the other side, rounding down and pressing my hips up. Now I'm going to go ahead and do this one more time because it's a really, really good stretch for the front part of your leg. Pressing the hips even deeper in opposition, right? That seems to be the theme for today, is opposition. And lifting up. Now, from here, I'm going to tuck my toes under and press the balls of my toes down. Heels go down as well. Now, from here, I hold on to my elbows and allow my weight to pull me forward. And I just slightly rock side to side from there. Rotating side to side. Keeping my abdominals off of my hips. as I work my way through each side, deepening the stretch in each movement pattern that we have. Placing my hands down. I'm going to walk my hands out to a push-up position here. Hold. I'm going to engage my glutes. Join my inner thighs together. Scoop my abs up and in to my spine, walking my hands back. So I enjoy the stretch as I walk my hands out away from my center line. You should feel a nice stretch in the back of your legs. Squeezing my glutes together again to stabilize my hips, making sure I'm staying lifted through this movement pattern. And I hold here. And last one, we're going to walk our hands out to our push-up position. And holding there. And walking our hands back. Should feel a nice deepened stretch. Even deeper than the stretch that we had in the beginning when we did our roll-ups and our roll-downs in the standing position. Good, I'm going to bend my knees, come to the balls of my toe, and walking my hands back out to a seated position. Coming forward, back to the cross position. And from there, I finish in the cross position. Sitting up nice and tall on our sits bones. My back is elongated. My shoulders are rolled down away from my ears, and my chest is open. Thank you for joining me today. We worked on our flexibility, and hopefully you were able to have a great workout and gain some tips to help you with all the movement patterns that we did today. With that being said, hope you have a great day, and thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time at Pilates Please with Dr. Vernette.